Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Graham Elwood.
I'm Chris Mancini, and this is the Comedy Film Nerds Podcast, episode 213.
Ooh.
It's pretty. We got a lot to talk about today, too. We're going to be talking about Draft Day and the indie film Filth. We're going to be talking about more revivals. We're going to be talking about
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yes.
We're going to get some insight.
And we got a great guest, too. We're about to introduce him.
So, what do we want? I want to thank everybody for everything.
Yeah, wow, that's going to take a while.
No, I'm sorry.
The whole world just went, you're welcome, Graham.
Thank you. Just all the stuff we've been doing with earbuds has been a blast. And everyone that's...
The footage is great.
The footage has been great. We showed... Keith Blomberg put together a little sizzle reel. He does this thing at that crazy house that they live in called with his company called Stoops, and people just bring short films. There was some really funny stuff that was really cool to see. And he introduced me as the only adult at the party. That was nice.
Which is probably the first time you've ever been introduced
introduced that way. I'm usually the problem at the party, not the adult. That was a lot of fun. And, we went up to the Brewing Network, and Justin Crossley, who runs the Brewing Network, was really cool, opened up and let us interview in his studio. And it was a whole new world we got into with the homebrew people. Beer world. It was a whole new circle of nerdy. I was just like, these guys need to be on Dork Forest.
Have you ever heard of the term homebrew nerd before?
No.
Yeah, well, I think that exists.
Yeah,
I think that exists.
It's
That's a thing.
Exist.
Yeah.
They were great. And then we interviewed a longtime fan of the show, Jason Christian, who lives up in Northern California, the Bay Area, and for the documentary. And it was awesome because he was one of the people who was, on Twitter during the Kickstarter. And he was talking to me about how panicked he was. How
panicked he was.
Oh, my God. I know. We almost lost it. And then we just did Will Anderson yesterday, which was great. Shout out to all the Fofop fans who donated to his T-shirt because Will Anderson put in $5,000. And
he sure did.
It was awesome. And
we got to the goal. With
because
Will's
of that.
help.
So
yeah,
it was definitely with Will's help and all the Fofop fans, and hopefully we'll get to meet many of you in Australia.
Yes,
we're trying to set up fan interviews in Australia in Sydney for Sunday, June 1st, from noon to 4 or 5. We're working on a location. Will's going to help with that. Maybe we'll get one of the comedy clubs in Sydney or something like that. So that's been awesome.
Or we'll just do it in the outback by a kangaroo.
Well, yeah, that's next to Sydney.
Yes.
Dr. Geography. That was amazing. Yeah.
Just watch out for the crocs.
Right. Now Sydney, that's right next to Hawaii, right?
Right,
That's
exactly.
Right off the Oahu coast. And
they have sea monsters there too.
Of course, there's sea monsters, Chris, and hobbits. And then
they're in New Zealand.
They are in New Zealand. We did great interviews over at Nerdist with Chris Hardwick and our guest we interviewed. So let's introduce him to the show. A podcaster, former roadie. Is that right?
No, not roadie.
You worked
musician.
Musician.
Yeah.
Musician. I'm
roadie.
Sorry. What an asshole
what an
I am.
Jeez,
yeah.
What a dick. It's like calling a director. You were a PA, right?
Yeah, you were a grip, right? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Delray.
How are you guys?
Good. So correct me on your musician backgrounds. So tell me.
I played music 25 years.
But now, just to clarify, you didn't carry your own equipment.
No, I did most of the time.
Oh, did So technically, Graham's right.
Yeah, roadie, musician / roadie. It's funny because the term roadie is so, I love it because it's so 70s. There was a movie called Roadie.
Yeah.
It was funny. But, somewhere along the way, you couldn't call people stewardess, flight attendant, and then roadies were like, I'm a tech, man. I'm a guitar tech. I'm a drum tech. It's like, nah, man, you're a roadie.
So what were some of the bands you were in?
I was when I first started playing music, I was in a metal band called kind of metal rock called Ghost Town. Kind of Aerosmith meets GNR, you know. And then later a band called Two Lane Blacktop, which Linda Perry signed. from Four Non Blondes, who's a huge songwriter now. And then I went solo, Dean Delray record. That was the last record I made, which was, I think, right around 99. And then after that, I stopped playing music. And then I was working for the Stones. I wasn't roadieing, though. I was like a VIP host for their parties, for their VIP guests.
Were you a VIP tech?
A VIP tech, yes. I was a very important tech.
What does that job entail, working for the Rolling Stones as a VIP?
Well, you would play music for the parties and show their high-end guests a good time, and sometimes take them on tours of the towns,
cool.
cities that we were in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just kind of a host. I did that for like 4 years.
What was that like?
It was mind-boggling. You know, I've been around the world, and once you travel with the Stones, you know, I don't need to play music anymore because it's the highest it's going to get, and no one's going to get there anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, you get used to Four Seasons hotels and first class and business class, and you go, this is right. You know what I mean? And Tokyo Dome, 80,000 people, you're like, wow. It's a lot of years, though, you know, and great songwriting and a different era. I don't think bands are going to get that big anymore.
Right.
We're getting to an end of it. Once the legends are gone, so will be, I think, the arenas. Unless you put like 5 bands together.
Right.
That'll equal one U2.
Exactly. I mean, you got the big ones like Stones and Springsteen and U2 and you know, the rest are going away, you know. And then below that you have like Metallica can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you know,
Pearl Jam, but they don't even...
Pearl Jam can do it too.
Yeah.
You know, those are bands that are still can do it for another 10, 15 years, you know. But below those guys, there's not anybody like, what are you going to do? Go see the Muse 10 years from now?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're a good band, but you're not going to be like, the Muse is playing Staples 10 years from now. You're just not going to do that. You need generations of fans.
Right.
So with the Stones, you got the guys, they find them in the 60s. They have kids. They find the bands from their parents, and then now they're old enough to turn their kids up.
You know
that's
what?
when I went to see Pearl Jam.
I've heard the exact
Same thing.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of guys our age who grew up listening to Pearl Jam when we were in our 20s, and then a lot of them then had their like 12-year-old kids at the concert,
Right?
Yep.
You know, or the people who found them 10 years later.
Yep.
You know, like, because I remember I found when I was in high school and college, that's when I found like the Stones and bands from the 60s and 70s that I was too young to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, when I went to see Page and Plant at the Hollywood
That
Bowl,
was incredible.
It was amazing.
It was incredible.
And exact conversation happened behind me. This kid was saying, "It's like, yeah, my mom went to see Led Zeppelin. Now I'm watching Page and Plant with my mom."
Yeah,
you know, it's amazing.
Well, it comes down to good songwriting. Yeah. If you don't have good songs, you're not going to have generations of fans. If you have one good song, you can work that for years. But you can't work it to generations of fans. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Oh, remember that song? It's great, but it's not going to. But when you have multiple records that are incredible, and I'm talking with the Stones, for me, from 68 to 81, you have some of the best music ever made. You know, you got Exile in there, you got Beggar's Banquet, you have, even Tattoo You, which I love, which is the last great record, I think. There's so many songs that are going to affect people, you know? So you've got a wider spread of people, you know?
What was some of the crazy... I mean, you were telling me a little bit about it when we interviewed you for the documentary, but some of the, interactions you had with doing this Stones VIP thing,
when you're working with the Stones and they go into a city, whoever's big in that city is at the shows, at the VIP, backstage or whatever. So you're seeing people that you can't believe that you would never see. Like I met Jeff Beck when I was in London. That's a guy you would never, ever meet. Like in LA, you'll meet your standard rock stars, a Gene Simmons or somebody floating around, maybe an Alice Cooper or whatever. But like Jeff Beck, you're seeing guys that you can't believe. And I met Scorsese at the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I was going to say, must be
What
filmmakers
was that
go too.
like?
And that was incredible. He filmed that concert. That concert film.
Shine a Light.
Shine a Light, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I also met Ed Bradley before he passed. I'm a huge 60 Minutes fan.
Wow.
So I met people that I really, really respect.
Were you there when they were shooting Shine a Light?
Shine a Light, I wasn't there because they shot it at the Beacon, and it was one of those things where you had to stay at your hotel. There's just fire marshals. There's so much gear in there and stuff.
Okay.
So I really didn't know what happened. But my buddy went. He was out on the road with me. He bought a ticket actually to go. But it was one of those things that you couldn't really get into, But to meet him, Raging Bull is, I think, one of the top 5 films ever made.
Yeah.
And, Taxi Driver.
Those movies, like we were talking about it again before the show, and it's a book I've mentioned a million times, but Easy Rider's Raging Bulls is one of those books, and it defines that era of the Stones that you just talked about, 68 to 81, and all the movies.
It was almost like parallel development. It was like you have the Stones here, and you have this kind of similar vibe to it, but in the movie business.
Well, that's what I said.
It's why Shine a Light is so amazing, because it's like these two icons doing it's like an icon filming an icon. It's amazing. It's why Shine a Light is just a phenomenal documentary.
Well, Scorsese uses the Stones in every movie. This is the first film I think he didn't use the Stones.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street, which, by the way, I think is one of the greatest Scorsese films in the last 20 years, because he didn't do the Scorsese, I think he fell into that thing of like, okay, it's a period piece. You wear these outfits. We play some Stones songs, and you know what I mean? This movie felt, although it is a period piece, it didn't feel like, we're the 80s, other than the Quaaludes.
Right.
But it felt like just a fantastic story. I was lost in the story more than I was the costumes and outfits and the cocaine,
Or
that's a good point.
Scorsese.
Or Jonah Hill's teeth.
Yeah, Jonah Hill was unbelievable.
He was good.
In that film. But
And he played against type, too, which was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's want to move on? Or we got another question?
Well, let's
okay, go
now.
ahead.
What's your podcast now? Tell our fans what your podcast
My
is.
podcast is called Let There Be Talk, and it's I played music for 25 years, and then I started doing stand-up comedy. And over those 25 years, I met a lot of musicians who have become great friends of mine, and I thought it would be cool to have them on. We just shoot the shit. And then at the end, I asked them if they ever thought of doing stand-up comedy. Because a lot of guys that play music are funny. Like I said before to you, Jacob Dylan, one of the funniest guys I've ever met. You would never know it, but he's fast, funny. Musicians are funny because they need to entertain themselves while they're out on the road. It's long and boring in between the gigs.
Also very similar to comedians.
Well, it's always funny. Comedians want to be musicians, and musicians want to be comedians.
That's correct. John Belushi always wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
That's hence the Blues Brothers.
Yep.
And the drug overdose.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, all the big comedians. I don't think Louis C.K. wants to be a musician,
No.
but I know Mark Maron loves to play guitar.
Adam Sandler has a band.
Yeah. It's fun, man. It's I think when you're a comedian, you need an escape, and when you're a musician, you need an escape, It's
And we have very, friends of mine that are musicians, we understand each other because we all know what the road is like.
They all do something different, too. Like, there's always a comedian or a musician always does one other thing, like whether it's not, maybe it's painting or just some other creative outlet. That you
Bob
always see.
Dylan's a painter.
Yeah. You always, there's always at least one other artistic kind of thing that they throw themselves into.
It's true. I think artistic people have a few different fires going at all times,
Oh, cool. And then your podcast, you just interview these friends of yours about...
That's correct. That's how it started, and then it just kind of blossomed into really like I like to think of it as like good shit. I just talk about what I think's good, because it's so hard to get the good shit out there. If it's a good film, a good record, a great store I love, whatever, I talk about that stuff because we need those things to thrive.
Yeah.
Or they go away and we're just hit with some severe shit. You know?
Speaking of severe shit, do you want to start?
Let's get into it.
You want to do Draft Day?
Okay.
All right, then I'll do Filth. Go ahead.
All right. So I went to see Draft Day, and I knew.
Thank you, by the way.
I knew I was going to see this movie because I like football.
Yeah.
And I knew I was like, I've seen every football movie I think ever made.
Wasn't going to be a completely hard sell for you.
No,
to go
I was
see
like,
it.
I'll go see this, and of course I saw it at my favorite theater, the dine-in movies where you sit in the recliner,
The lounge chairs.
the
and
lounge
they bring you
chairs.
food.
Pasadena one?
No, I went to the one in Marina Del Rey.
Gotcha.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know I'm going to see Draft Day. I was like, boom, let's do it. We just finished shooting Will Anderson. I was like, I'm going. So, this movie obviously had, I don't even know if maybe the NFL produced it, but at least had their permission because it's all NFL stuff, which is great. They made up names of draftees. They weren't talking about real players. They didn't use real coaches or anything like that, which was probably the NFL like,
Yeah.
you can't,
Right.
You
can't badmouth
license guys, yeah.
or I don't want you bad mouthing this coach or whatever. So and are there some cheesy moments in the movie? Are there some moments that are ridiculous? Of course, but it's still it's still a football movie, and they're in the war room it's 12 hours. The movie takes place it's Draft Day and all the wheeling and dealing, and Frank Langella plays the owner.
Does it feel like NFL Down? Like it's like Black Hawk Down with like
No, Black Hawk Down. This is a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
This is not that. It's entertaining. If you like football, you'll watch this. If you have the NFL Network on your satellite or cable and you watch that network just no matter what they play, you'll watch this.
because it'll probably be there in another 2 weeks.
If not by the end of the year. And then they get the actual ESPN and they get Rich Eisen, they get the NFL Network and the ESPN guys talking like it's actual Draft Day. And then you can tell they filmed actual Radio City Music Hall on Draft Day. So they got all this the fans who get all crazy on Draft Day, and they cover that buzz well, and then they intercut obviously stuff they shot with Chris Berman talking about these fictitious ball players. But it was just like, I didn't care. I had a good, it was just like, I'm sitting there in my recliner eating, and that's what this movie's all. If you don't care about football, you're not going to go see this. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, I don't like the NFL.
I'm noticing a pattern too. Whenever you go see a movie in that movie theater,
I like it a lot better.
Yeah. There's you're definitely a little more generous with it.
That's because he's eating and stuff. The film's the second part of it. Yeah.
My feet are elevated.
Yeah.
It's like
you're getting a massage.
it's great. I've been on my feet all day or sit, just in uncomfortable.
Is it $25 to get in?
It's 15.
Oh, that ain't bad.
It's 20 on the weekends.
Right.
It's 15 at night during the week, and it's like 13 if you go during the day during the week, which isn't bad. And the food's reasonably priced.
Right.
Now, how did the actors do it? Or did they ham it up, or was it
No. They
decent?
actually, Jennifer Garner played, this like her job was in charge of salary cap. So that's a big issue on Draft Day, and that's part of the whole the whole puzzle chessboard of
numbers game.
The numbers game. And she was great, and she's dating Kevin Costner secretly. And they put this backstory of Kevin Costner's dad was the longtime coach of the Cleveland Browns, and so his family's in it and stuff. And so all these actors did a good job, and they like Sam Elliott plays.
He's great.
He just plays one of the coaches, and he just does a phone call. Sam Elliott talking about, you know what I mean? And he was a college coach, and they call him to get info on this potential number 1 draft pick quarterback.
Right. Some inside info.
Yeah, and he's like, let me tell you, what about this quarterback? He's got, and it's just like Sam Elliott in a coach's uniform. Like,
I love him in Mask, man.
Oh, I could listen to Sam Elliott do anything.
Yeah, he's great, right?
I keep thinking of him in, wasn't he in Roadhouse?
Yeah, he's great in Roadhouse. He's great
in any other movie. I'm like, I think he's going to go kick
He's
somebody.
really good on that car commercial, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ford trucks.
Yeah.
Whatever truck it is.
Hurts like a bitch, don't it?
Yeah, whenever his voice comes on, you go, "Oh, fucking Sam!
Yeah,
How much money do you need?"
Yeah. It's there's people that have very distinct voices. You're like, even when they're on a commercial, obviously.
And he probably just said, when they call him and go, "Okay, I'm recording it though at my ranch.
Yeah,
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Pro Tools, here you go.
I'm emailing you an MP3.
Send the check.
Yeah. Make the check out to my attorney. He probably has some send an unmarked bill.
Unmarked bills.
In a brown paper bag.
Have it delivered by pack mule.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you saw. I did a football movie with Ice Cube called The Long Shots. Yeah, it's a true story about the first girl ever to play Pop Warner football. And when you do a football movie, no matter what football it is, Pop Warner, a girl, whatever, you can tell, if I'm somewhere and somebody's seen it, it's always that guy that's the football freak, hey, long shots. You know what I mean? And you look, he's just got a pizza and
a beer and helmet,
Yeah, and you're like, I'm at the supermarket. What do you know what I mean? They always look like the football guy, they got the jerseys on and stuff.
Because I think it's smart because they're releasing it right around the NFL draft.
Built-in audience.
Built-in audience.
Absolutely.
And I would probably say a lot of diehard football fans aren't necessarily guys that are like, I'm going to go see the new movie. They're not going to art house movies. You know what I mean? They're
not
football
going
guys.
to art house movies.
No, at all. They're not like Scorsese. They're not talking about him in depth. They're just but they're like, football movie.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. I hope this shows some roids charts.
Yeah.
That's what Sam Elliott called to get the roid report. Well, he did a little roids back in 79. We'll keep that under the hush, though.
So, if you're a football fan, go see Draft Day. And if you can see this where they serve you food in a comfortable chair, you're going to love this film.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. If I were to see this under different circumstances, I might be a little harsher on this film.
If you're not a football day, go see Training Day, an opposite of Draft Day.
Yeah. It's a different kind of draft.
Yeah. Still a rookie.
Oh, here's the one thing I have to hold on. Dennis Leary plays the head coach.
Dennis Leary, awesome.
He has his moments, and then there's moments where he's good, and then there's moments where you're like, you would never be a professional football coach, Dennis Leary. You never in a million years. But it's like, I forgave it because this food was good.
Yeah. Well, I should have seen this next movie in the same movie theater. This movie I saw was Filth. This is the indie movie starring James McAvoy. He's not in an X-Men movie. Now, first, before I talk about this movie, I want to say what an amazing actor he is. He's fantastic.
Right.
And he's really versatile. You've seen him in all these great movies, everything from just sweeping period piece romances to comic book movies to kids movies. He was actually in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He played one of the characters. And now watching this movie, immediately I was hit with, if you remember a movie with Harvey Keitel called Bad Lieutenant, that came out a long time ago.
Favorites.
Yeah. This was kind of I think it was Scotland. It was shot in Scotland, if you check it out. So. Yeah. It was like a Scottish version of that. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm on board. I'll start watching it. And then this movie went so completely off the rails. And the reason it did is because this movie had no idea what it wanted to be. Okay, well, now
it was shot in the UK.
Okay, UK.
Oh, no, filming location, Scotland. Yeah,
it was
Edinburgh
mostly Scotland.
And the UK. All around.
And it was one of those movies that one scene is that's kind of really satirical and kind of funny. Then there's one scene, that's deep, heavy drama. Then there's one scene where, that's kind of redemptive. And now there's one scene where hallucinations, and now everyone has a monster head. So, it's it literally does all these different things in the movie. You're like, I don't even know what movie I'm watching. And
sounds like Fear and Loathing.
You know what?
Fear and Loathing, the cop movie.
Yeah. And it was an unintentional Fear and Loathing. Fear and Loathing, no, this is what we want to do. Yeah. Whereas this one, it just felt like they're just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you to show how edgy and how how depraved this cop is. Because here's the description: a bipolar, bigoted, junkie cop. Already, that's a lot of adjectives for your protagonist. Manipulates and hallucinates his way through the festive season, Christmas, in a bid to secure promotion and win back his wife and daughter. So, it has all of those hooks in it, and they never really go anywhere because you're too busy hallucinating or, doing awful things. Yeah, you're too busy. You're too busy watching this movie. I'm like, all right, well, I don't even know what movie I'm watching. I was hallucinating that I was watching a better movie while this movie was playing.
You were hallucinating that you were in a recliner getting nice food?
Yes, I was. And now this brings me, so it's really, his performance is good, but it's also over the top, and it's not his fault because I'm sure that's the direction he was getting. No, go bigger and more ridiculous so no one can possibly relate to you in any scene.
That's why Harvey Keitel was so good in Bad Lieutenant, because it was so played down.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the fuck?
I will say there were a few scenes where that happened, where the movie did play down, and there was some genuine emotion because he is such a great actor, James McAvoy. But they're so few and far between, and they don't mesh with the rest of the Monsterhead movie. That it makes no sense. It doesn't come together as a movie. Which brings me to another point that Dean and I were talking about before you got here was. Indie movies now, it's more and more difficult to actually find them in movie theaters, and it's more and more difficult now to get them made. And the reason is unfortunate because it should be the opposite right now. With on-demand and all of the streaming and everything that we have available to us, why are we not getting access to more great indie films? Because I'm looking at the on-demand selections. I'm like, okay, well, I can't get to the movie theater. I can't find the indie movies I want to see. Why are these great indie movies not playing on demand? Like you were talking about. Fate of Gigolo. Why was that not on demand so I could watch that this weekend?
Right.
Instead, there's like a small selection of the indie movies that not as many people want to see. They're just not as good. The quality isn't there. So I'm really hoping the industry starts to go the other direction where those good, great indie movies, we can catch them on demand over the weekend. I'll pay $10 for them, whatever. It's fine. But the selection right now, Mark Cuban's trying to push that forward, but it's just not enough. The selection for on demand is not enough right now.
I think also it's indie films. If it's a great film, man, you really, really have to be up on like I go to the LA Weekly every week or something.
You have to research them.
If you don't, man, it's like rock and roll. There's a lot of great bands out there right now. A lot of people go, "There's no good music anymore." I go, "No, it's just like you're an adult and you don't seek it out anymore." Same with indie films. I grew up in San Francisco. I would go see they played indie films like crazy, and I saw some of my favorites. Drugstore Cowboy. There's a film this guy did, a series 7 Up, and then it was like 14 and up. Those kind of films I saw growing up, and I found those from the SF Weekly. Right. And I find that if you see a good film, an indie film, you must tell people. It's got to be grassroots of word of mouth, like old rock tape trade or something.
It's one of the great things that we've from doing this podcast that I've truly loved is two things. We found indie movies and told our fans about them, and then they write back and go, "Oh man, thank you." And the movies the fans have recommended to us,
and then we've sought out.
Exactly. You have to support that. If you don't, it goes away, and then the shit rises up. Like I said, if you go, "Hey man, you've got to see Fate of Gigolo," then the guy goes, "All right, I take your word for it because you like good films."
Now, Fate of Gigolo, is that going to be? Do you think there's a marketing campaign? Will that be on buses?
I know. You see that fading gigolo fly by when you're waiting for the 7:05.
American Gigolo was,
I know.
which I think is a fantastic film. If you did you guys ever see it?
No.
Richard Gere. This is a great film, man. It's such a twisted thing, a plot, But see that it's a classic, 80s classic.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But like Fading Gigolo is directed and written by John Turturro.
Yeah, I told you I love him.
Wouldn't you want to? I don't need to know anything about it. Don't even tell me the title. You just say written and directed by John Turturro. I want to see what he does as a director and writer for sure.
Well, he did a movie. Are you on his IMDb? Yeah. It's after Do the Right Thing. He did a movie he directed. It's about 3 brothers. Their father owns a construction company and passes away, and they take it over, and John's kind of like the oldest brother, and it's kind of like
What year was it?
It's like a guy's name, like
Mac.
Mac, that's it. You have to see this movie. That was the first one he directed, and it is fantastic because he's basically running this construction company in Jersey. His 2 brothers are losers, and That's a great film.
God, that's
All of our fans are now writing these down.
I'm writing it down.
I didn't hear about Mac.
Mac is great, and
Mac came out in 1992, and John Turturro co-wrote it and directed it. For
John Turturro, to me, I talked to you about it, is like Philip Seymour, where before Philip, of course, before the one, what was it, where he plays the writer, he wants
Capote.
Capote. Before Capote, he's in Boogie Nights. He's one of those guys you go, oh, that guy again. That's how John was, and he worked a lot with Spike Lee. But I love him in Do the Right Thing. He's incredible in Jungle Fever and the candy store scenes. The guy is spectacular.
Dude, watch him in Rounders.
Yeah. Miller's Crossing.
Yeah.
And also, I was just at the Sunset 5, which is my favorite theater now. They redid it. It's for Sundance.
Sundance,
now.
yeah.
I love this theater. They have great seats, sound, and they serve pizza.
Did they redo the seats and stuff?
Oh, my God.
really?
Dude, this place is spectacular. You got to be 21 to get in.
I love it.
No kids. They serve booze. The sound is great. I saw Sound City there, which is my favorite movie last year. Which is the documentary on the recording studio in Van Nuys. Huge seats, great sound, and fantastic employees there. But anyway, I was there last night, and I saw a poster for a movie with John Turturro and Philip Seymour. I guess it's a new movie, I forgot, that's out next week.
Are you talking about God's Pocket?
Yeah, that's it. Have you seen it?
No, but I
saw the poster for it last night.
We'll talk about that next week. That's it's a story set in Philadelphia. And it's actually, I saw
the trailer for this.
I read the book 20 years ago.
Wow.
The trailer for this is like gripping. I mean, obviously the fact that it's Philip Seymour Hoffman's probably last movie, which is just tragic, but it looks great, and it's about.
I have the book in the house right now because it was a going away present. I'll talk to.
I think Philip in Almost Famous it's flawless. His role as the the head writer guy.
Oh, they made you think you were cool.
Yeah, man. I'm always home. I'm not cool.
Yeah. God. And when he's telling him, okay, listen to this album or whatever, he's giving him the education.
Yeah. And when he said, they're not your friends, man.
Yeah.
And I want you to think so. But I read this thing. I love Philip Seymour. He blows my mind. But I read this thing where he wanted to play that role different, but he had started on shooting day at like 114 temperature or something. For like 4 days, he was dead sick. So he played it all like burned out and mellow.
Oh, my God.
That was
which was perfect.
Perfect. Because had he been all like,
like, no, man, we're not cool. Like a DJ or something, it would have been wrong.
It was so great because he's just like, he's calling this old sage dude in this like dirty rock studio dungeon or something like that. Yeah. He was just, all he's been doing is listening to vinyl and typing. You know what I mean? And smoking cigarettes. Like
that's it.
It's probably going to be remembered as probably Cameron Crowe's like best film.
Absolutely.
Because it was so personal and it's such a story that resonated, first of all, with him so much because it's partially his story. I think that's because when you see all the ways he incorporates music into his movies, but the fact that he incorporated music into a movie about his own life, about music, you're not going to get that perfect storm ever again.
Hudson's best films.
And
then she went on this
a terrible run.
I know. Just
the thing about Almost Famous, and a lot of people don't know, I played music all my life. When you see it, as I see it, I go, man, I kept waiting for him to fuck up. Like, that doesn't happen. This thing is so real deal all the way through. Really? And it's because they had Peter Frampton as a advisor, and also his wife at the time was Nancy Wilson from Heart.
Uh-huh.
She wrote the grooves, so that Fever Dog song sounds so real. It sounds like a Bad Company song. It's like, Fever!
I know, when they did that, at first I was like, was this a real band?
You can't believe it, man. They look like Bad Company. The clothes, they got them from the guy. And,
even when they were fighting about the album cover.
That's it. Yeah. But the thing about that film is I always look at Philip Seymour. I look at Mark Maron as my Philip Seymour because I'm new at comedy, and I'll call him and be like, yeah, man, I just don't know. Like, yeah, man, just fucking do it. Who cares if you bomb, man? You know, like Maron's my Philip Seymour. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
and
great.
Maron was in that movie. Lock the gates. He's at the beginning when he's like, "You're not getting out of here," and they go, "You want to buy a gate?" And they smash that fucking bus through there. You know, I love it, man. It's so great.
Well, let's talk about a film actually that you just saw at a revival. Was it at the Sunset 5?
It was at the ArcLight.
At the ArcLight.
Yeah, ArcLight runs a fantastic series where they'll run classics, you know?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I don't care how many times I've seen The Godfather. If it's at the Dome, which it was last week.
It's a different experience. We just talked about it. I saw Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
And there. It's amazing.
The first time and this is one of the things I loved about when I first moved to Los Angeles, is I went, oh, this is the film town. This is Hollywood.
Absolutely.
All these movies I had only seen on VHS because I was too young to watch them in the theater. I saw on the big screen. I saw Apocalypse Now for the first time.
That's one of the I can't even get it out how great that film is.
On a big screen, it's like you get lost in it. The Godfather, when they re-released this back in the 90s, I saw Godfather 1 and 2 at the Chinese theater. You see it at the Dome or the Chinese.
It's
just
unbelievable.
You feel like you're watching art and opera at the same, like you just want to weep.
And history, too.
And history.
Yeah,
because you feel like you're brought back to the time when that movie originally played in the movie theater. Like
you at the Chinese theater, especially.
Yeah.
The Chinese is a cathedral to cinema.
Yeah.
It is a cathedral, man.
Like when I think the first revival movie I saw out in L.A. was Lawrence of Arabia at the Dome, and I was just blown away by it because it was a restored print, too.
Yeah.
It was when they actually meticulously went and fixed like every frame. It was unbelievable.
It's interesting because I worked with Tarantino. I did a movie called Hell Ride, which was the third in the Grindhouse that no one saw. You know what I mean? Yeah. Here you are, like every time I do a movie, I go, all right, shit's going to change. Nope. But Tarantino won't show his films at the Dome. He loves the Chinese on the premieres because he doesn't like the pitch of the screen at the Dome's kind of angled. That's what I heard he said. But when you're at the Chinese and you're seeing Godfather, whatever, I feel like I'm at the premiere. Like, imagine what it was like.
Oh,
you see those photos of the Sunset Strip, all the people, they dressed up. It was like the huge stars.
You walk in and see the handprints. You're walking through Hollywood history.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, oh, there's Marilyn Monroe's footprint and signature.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you get chills because you're like, and then of course there's some junkie dressed as Superman.
Yeah, right. But that's part of Hollywood to me.
That's part of the,
And you know,
part of the charm.
Like I love movies so much, the classic films, like like Cuckoo's Nest. You know, and I think of the Chinese theater when I think of these films because when you're there, you can see some of the premiere photos, or if you go online, you know. Same with at the ArcLight, they got those photos.
That was just making me laugh because the last time I was in Hollywood with the kids with me, they wanted to see the auditorium. We're walking through and a Persian Spiderman's yelling at everybody too. You take picture with Spider-Man.
All right, so Dean, you just saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's correct.
Which, now, does it hold up?
Oh, man. I mean, you know, it's first of all, when you see it, it's a heavy film. It has abortion.
Yeah.
It has, there's drugs. There's a ticket scalping. There's, all kinds of real stuff going. You're going, man, this thing is gritty. It does hold up because it's edgy. It's not it's cheesy in some ways where you go, but in the other ways you go, man, this is the shit going on right now. You know, the film for me is one of the most iconic films. I was in, I believe, the 11th grade, and I never, ever forgot that film. And I love Spicoli, and I also love Damone, the character of Damone, who's the ticket scalper, who's played by a guy named Bob Romanus.
What year was it? Fest
83, I believe.
82. It
came 82, out. So I was a sophomore.
Cameron Crowe wrote the screenplay based on his book.
He went back to school secretly as a senior And you could never do this now, boy. You would be in so much trouble. The principal let him do a whole senior year to write this book. And some of the stuff in the movie, I talked to Bob Romanis on my podcast. He said guys would say, like, my 5-point plan. He said some guy said that, you know, wherever you're at, isn't this the greatest? You know,
yeah.
Always order for the girl. The lady will have linguine and clams and a Coke with no ice. He said a guy spat that out, 5-point plan, and Cameron wrote that down, and it's one of the iconic scenes in the film.
And then when they're sitting there arguing, like, oh man, I wish I got to work on that side of the mall. Like,
yeah. He's oh man, she's so lucky that the pizza. We're over here. You know what I mean? Now here's the weird thing. I see the film in 1982. It changes my life because in more ways than one. It represents California. The way I love California. To me, there's two states, California and New York. That's how I work it. And people right now, hey, fuck you, man. But it represents California so fierce. It's rock and roll. It's surf. It's OP shorts back then.
The 80s.
You can smell the sun, you know.
And the hairspray.
Yeah, hairspray. And as I see it, this guy, Damone, the character who scalps the tickets, had a huge impact on me. I just loved the character. Fast forward last year, a buddy of mine goes, hey, I know you have the Fast Times movie. I saw one of the guys working at this coffee shop over in NoHo. I go, oh, which guy? I'm just figuring it's just one of the fucking extras. He's the ticket scalping guy. I'm like, nah.
Damone?
I go, there's no way it's that guy. He goes, yeah. So I call the place called Bob's Espresso. And I call and I hear this on the other line. Yeah, Bob's Espresso. And it's fucking his voice. Look, I got goosebumps right now. I was like, I actually kind of hyperventilated. I've met huge stars. But to me, that's Damone.
That's Damone.
And he's like, you know, Bob's Espresso, can I help you? I'm hey man, I'm a big fan of Fast Times. I want you on my podcast. And he's all, what? You know? And I went down there and talked to him. And he came, did the podcast, and he told me insane stories.
Like?
And, well, one of them he said was Spicoli was like a method actor, Sean Penn, who was Spicoli the entire time.
Of course. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Even Offset. So he said, the funniest thing is Spicoli looks like a great guy on the screen. But at night, after shoots, we'd go eat, and he would still be Spicoli. And he goes, kind of an asshole. You don't want to be around. You're like, hey, get the fuck out of here, man. You know what I mean? Because he's still Spicoli at, like, the Olive Garden. You know, whatever they're at back there. Like, hey, no, you know, no dinero, umro kuna, you know, whatever. He's that guy. And you're eating dinner with him. He said, which is crazy. He said that Spicoli rented an apartment right down the street. It was shot at this mall here, right by your house.
The old Galleria.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Spicoli had an apartment there. He was Spicoli, and pretty crazy. He also told me that there was a scene between Spicoli and Damone, which never made the movie. They wanted to get the two together. They were never together. And it didn't work. But, you know, just some cool stuff. There's 4 people, I believe, that have won Academy Awards from that film. You've got Forrest Whitaker.
Right.
You have Sean Penn. Mm-hmm. You have Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's the one that shows her boobs the whole time, which, by the way, right now is doing a remake of Amityville Horror for the Weinsteins. I went to the set last week. Nice. They're making that. And then there's one other one. I can't remember who it is.
It's not
Judge Reinhold or no, it's not her. Somebody. But 4.
Probably not Judge Reinhold.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but pretty crazy. Or maybe it's just 3. But that's cool, right?
Well, Cameron Crowe, didn't he?
Cameron Crowe, yeah.
You got to count him.
There you go.
Directed by Amy Heckerling.
Yeah, right. That was her first movie she directed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's so, man. That's...
But anyway, he owns the place, Bob's Espresso, on Magnolia, and he's there every day. He has an incredible photo of the cast now all together You see all the guys in the movie. They all got together and did a photo.
Well, he just got a plug for his espresso shop.
Yeah. I think we're going there for lunch.
Yeah, I think that sounds like... Yeah, we should. We should stop by. We just talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, go in there.
Maybe we will, yeah.
Tell him I sent you in, and he does open mic on Friday nights, which is fantastic. So there I am doing an open mic at Damone's place. And Bill Burr came down there, and Bill's a huge fan and took photos with him. And then Bill did a tweet, I'm going to do 30 new minutes at this coffee shop. And there was like 200 kids outside trying to get in.
No way.
Yeah, and like a flash kind of mob, 1 hour tweet before the show. It was incredible about 2 months ago. So I love this guy, and I hope I land a TV show to get him on.
Just to hire him.
He's working right now. He did some Cougar Towns. He's been working the entire time.
Of course.
And his life story will blow your mind. He was a singing waiter at some place in Hollywood that used to be singing waiters. Like, what will you have? You know, and the guys discovered him. And
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know the other Academy Award winner. It was Nicolas Cage.
That's right. He's in it.
And he was supposed to be in it a lot.
He's one of Spicoli's buddies.
That's right. And he's
really
only in
short.
like a minute. Yeah, but he was supposed to be in
Eric
big time.
Stoltz is also one of the burnouts.
Mask, yeah. He's the guy too.
No shoes, no shirt, no dive.
What about Mr. Hand, the ultimate, right? He recently passed away, but what a great guy he is, man. And then that other creepy guy that played the scientist, the health doctor, teacher, he was always in stuff. But what a masterpiece movie, man.
Watch it. Watch it again. Yeah. All right.
Let's do it. We have a sponsor for this show. We want to take a little break and talk to you about our sponsor. Now, Mother's Day is coming up, Sunday, May 11th. Now, it's very smart of sponsors to actually send us their stuff before we actually start doing the sponsorship, because then we can actually talk about it more intelligently about what they're offering. And they sent this is Sherry's Berries, and they sent us a bunch of strawberries, and they're amazing. They're really good. They're chocolate dipped strawberries. There's chocolate, white chocolate, nuts, and right now for Mother's Day it's only $19.99 for, I think it's like a half dozen.
And then you can up it.
Yeah, you can up it because of us, because of our coupon code. You can double it for $10 more.
And the coupon code is just comedy film.
Yes, unless they've changed it to CFN. We've gotten no acknowledgement one way or the other.
They're busy dipping giant strawberries into chocolate.
Yes, to send out to your mother.
Those things are good, man.
Yeah.
I remember I advertised on my podcast for them, and I opened the door, and they were there.
Yeah, they sent them chilled. To you. Yeah, yeah.
You eat one, and you go, oh, well, these are gone.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they're gone. Your mom ain't getting nothing. Yeah. They come to your house.
I don't know what happened, Mom. They just keep sending them to my house.
Sherry's gone berries.
Yeah. Here, they sent you an ice pack. That's weird.
Yeah. Here's some chilled waters.
Yeah.
Really good, though.
So you definitely want to check them out. And there's still time for Mother's Day. And like I said, they have all sorts of stuff on the site, too. You could actually get, like, the berries with, like, little tiny cheesecakes and cookies and all sorts of stuff. Oh, but honestly, the berries, that's the main course over there, Sherry's Berries. You want to get the berries. Yeah, go to BERRIES.com. Now, if you go and click on the microphone...
Were you worried people wouldn't know how to spell berries?
It's specific. They said you have to spell it out. The sponsor said you have to spell it out.
BERRY.
Yeah. I know our audience is very intelligent. I'm just following the directions.
All right. Thank you.
So BLYNS. No, wait. Oh, see, they were right. Oh no.
BERRIES.
BERRIES.
Dot and then COM.
So click on the microphone in the upper right corner and type in comedy film or CFN. One of those will work, and you can double your order for just $10 more.
Berries.com.
Double your berries. Do it.
Double your
berries. Seriously.
Double your berries.
Why wouldn't you double your berries, Graham?
I don't know. In case you're dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish you guys had some now.
So do
we. Chris ate them all.
Yeah, well, I have a family.
Terrible film, Phil.
You didn't give them to your family.
As soon as they showed up, unfortunately, I opened them while the children were present. So they disappeared very quickly.
That's bummed.
But they were supposed to send you your own set. Did you get yours yet?
Yeah, I probably went to your house and you gave them to your kids.
That's true. I did get 2 sets.
Yeah, you asshole. You gave me your kids.
That was over the course of 6 months.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know, kids. We got 2. They couldn't possibly
Yeah,
be
that
for
could possibly
Graham.
for Graham. This makes no sense. We'll just have to eat them.
All right. You're the worst. You're the worst. All right. So coming out on DVD.
You know what? I have to say, it's been a very lame few weeks for DVDs. I'm not sure what's going on, but this would be a great time to release a good DVD, studios.
Are they still out?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
yeah.
now they're releasing. I mean, they say a DVD release, but they also do like digital download through
Right.
iTunes and all that stuff like that. So it's just releasing the movie digitally and
DVD.
And
It's
DVD.
So Legend of Hercules. Now, the only thing you need to know about this DVD release is that it doesn't have The Rock and it does have Rennie Harlan. So that's all you need to know.
yeah. I saw a trailer for the Rock one. I'm gonna watch the shit out of that.
Of course.
Of course,
Why
he's
wouldn't you
Hercules.
want- Yeah.
Isn't he Dwayne now?
Yeah, now he's Dwayne Robinson. Yeah.
but-
Well, because the WWF or whatever owns that.
Oh,
name.
they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it has to be Dwayne Johnson. But honestly, when anyone's talking about Dwayne Johnson, does anyone not say The Rock?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
He should just go with like the Pebble.
Yeah, something similar.
Yeah, just comedy, right? I'm the Pebble.
I'm the
dog.
Pebble, bringing the hammer.
And the next is Labor Day, the Jason Reitman film that I don't know anyone who saw. It's this weird premise with Kate Winslet and I think it was Josh Brolin.
Sure.
Played
She
the
get naked in it.
Yeah, that's right.
possibly.
She gets naked in every film, right?
That's
Thank
her-
you.
that's her gig.
I didn't see this one.
What about that little children film? Whoa. You
Which
ever see
one?
that? That's the one where she starts sleeping with the neighbor, and it has that child molester living in the neighborhood who was played by the dude from Bad News Bears, Kelly Leak, the character on the motorcycle. That's
I
one
did
of the,
not see Little Children.
I'll tell you what, Little Children. I think it won some Academy Awards. The guy was up for it. You remember Bad News Bears, the kid on the motorcycle?
It was Patrick Wilson, Jennifer Connelly, Kate Winslet.
His film is
and
phenomenal.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Jackie
Oh,
Earl
there you
Haley.
go.
That guy's been having a renaissance,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You
No,
know
I
that
didn't see
guy's
that movie.
story? It's crazy, man. He did Bad News Bears and Breaking Away, which is a fantastic film. He does a bunch of movies. Then he has an awkward phase where he looks weird, like as a teenager. No one will hire him. He moves to back home to Texas. He's a limo driver for his life. He picks up some director who's doing Little Children and goes, "Hey, man, you were in Bad News Bears." And the guy's like, "Yeah, long time ago." He's like, "I love you. I got a part for you." He gives him the part. He gets an Academy Award nomination and has been working ever since, whatever that is, 06 or
That was
whatever.
06,
Wow.
yeah.
Unbelievable. And the guy's phenomenal. He played Freddy in the Freddy Krueger remake.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually good, though.
He's great in The Watchmen.
He's
Well, he was
great
great
in
in
The
The Watchmen,
Watchmen.
yeah.
He's amazing.
But he's
He was that
insane in this
character.
film. Insane. He plays a child molester who's released from prison that gets put in this neighborhood. And
What's that name of that movie again, Graham?
Little Children.
Little Children.
It's
Okay.
insane. Sorry to
So
interrupt.
check it out.
that's a great
That's
pick,
perfect.
man.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
So, and I actually, do we have time for a DVD pick, or I'll wait for this for next week?
Do it.
Do it? Okay. DVD pick. I saw Mass Effect Paragon Lost. Now, I don't know if you're a gamer, but I'm a lot of our fans who play video games. The Mass Effect series, it's a trilogy. There's 3 science fiction games, and they're unbelievable. They're the best video games I've ever played. And the reason they're so great is because it drops you in the middle of a science fiction novel where you're not just shooting aliens. You're creating alliances. You're making friends. And your decisions decide who of your companions and friends and who you establish romantic relationships with live or die. And those choices follow you through 3 games.
Wow.
Like when we play, if we all played the games, we'd have different experiences throughout the entire game. And we would have different people survive with us and die through the entire thing. And it's an unbelievable series. And they made an anime movie to kind of like offshoot it a little bit. It was kind of like a prequel to the 3rd game. And it's one of those things where it's too bad. It's not very good. And one of the reasons is because the games are so good. When you see like a cheaper knockoff version of an anime that's like doesn't have very good detail, the story's not as good, the characters, the voices, nothing is as good. You're like, well, what's the point? Why I'll just play the games. I can get a much better experience experience than watching this half-baked movie. And that's the case with a lot of video game movies. But this one was kind of... I saw the attempt there. The attempt was to expand the universe. This is kind of like, oh, you like the games, you like this movie that tells a side story in a different format, and it just didn't work out.
Right.
So it's too bad. But the games are still amazing.
It's incredible that people make those games, man. I mean, how much? What's that one? Sky Cloud or whatever.
Skyrim,
yeah.
Those scripts are thousands of pages long.
Like how
thousands.
How?
There's teams of writers that just work on certain sections.
Just so tedious, you know. Like, I mean, you got to be going crazy.
They're intricate, and the stories, and then the graphics and everything.
You feel like you're there.
It's way beyond making a movie, which is a lot of work.
Yeah,
you know?
Yes.
I mean, and then the game could come out and not even be a hit.
Yep.
And then you're just, back to the drawing board. Isn't that crazy, man?
It's gaming is unbelievable.
And it's when a game hits, it makes more money than
it's
movies.
Than
anything.
It
makes more money than anything.
I'm sure it's online somewhere what the Mass Effect trilogy combined has made. I can only imagine.
It's several $5 billion.
You think
it's
so?
probably
That's crazy,
overseas,
right?
probably something like that.
That's crazy, right?
One of our fans is going to email and let us know with a link to show us. So,
all right, coming out this week, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I cannot tell you how not excited I am for this movie.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I'm a huge superhero fan. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I love Spider-Man. That was the character I grew up on. Yeah. And this new direction of Spider-Man, just because Sony doesn't want to give the rights back to Marvel and Disney, is not the way I want to see my Spider-Man character.
Especially in the shadow of how great the other Marvel movies have been.
Yeah.
You know,
and how great the first two Spider-Man movies were.
You like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
I like the first two. I didn't like the third one.
Yeah, I do too. I thought they were great, man. But, the problem is they bring back these films too soon. So you're like, wait a minute,
because of the license. That's the reason.
Yeah.
If Sony didn't make another Spider-Man movie right away, they would lose the license back to Marvel, and that's what they're doing. They're like, well, let's just make a mediocre movie so we don't lose the rights.
Yeah, I didn't even.
That's
go
the
see
great way to shoot
Superman,
movies.
Because the thing is, they got into that thing of like. Batman, Christopher did Batman and he made him dark, and then all of a sudden everybody was like, well, we'll do the same thing with the other guys. We'll make a dark Spider-Man, we'll make a dark Superman, and that's the formula,
It's like,
and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work because Batman was always dark.
Batman is evil, man.
It was in the DNA. As a fucking bat.
Yeah,
he works at night.
It's a billionaire. Somehow that's greed.
And he's a half an inch on the other side of the Joker. You know what I mean? Like he's just that close to being a bad guy.
That's right. He is a bad guy.
Remember in Dark Knight
when he's a vigilante?
Yeah.
I mean, in Dark Knight, the graphic novel, Dark Knight Returns, he's looking at Two-Face and he goes, "What do you see?" And he goes, "A reflection."
Exactly. Exactly. I love Christopher Nolan. I think Inception is one of the coolest films in the last 10 years. And the reason I like that movie is everyone walked out with a different opinion of what happened at the end. And everyone talked about it. I mean, everywhere you went, it was like, what do you think, Which is a really rare thing with a movie,
Christopher Nolan, man. He's a very inventive director.
Great guy. Great film.
Graham and I were kind of lukewarm on the movie, but it doesn't mean we couldn't appreciate it. Appreciate it more than like it. Yeah.
I loved it. It's weird. I think it's one of those either you loved it or you didn't like it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of elements about it.
There's no medium on that.
Right.
I loved it because I was like,
we had a lot of fans that loved it too, and a lot of them were like, that was awful.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't think it was awful. I just the ending I didn't like.
Yeah.
But again, and I'll say this, and I say this, we say this a lot on the show about
glad it got made.
Yeah.
And when Christopher Nolan makes a movie that I'm not that into, it's still really
There's
entertaining.
Still interesting parts to watch.
I didn't walk out of it like, what a fucking waste of my time.
No. Coen Brothers. Who do you think's the best filmmakers right now? I think it's Coen
out of the
Brothers.
Coen Brothers. Which one? You'd have to pick one.
No. I'm just saying that are making that No Country for Old Men. I think's best film in 20 years.
They're up there, man.
For me, man.
It's hard to narrow it down to one, I would say.
Coen Brothers definitely have an amazing streak. It's like Coen Brothers and Pixar. You see some of these, these people that just don't miss very often. Yeah. It's amazing.
What was that one, Simple Man? Wow. It was about the guys.
The Coen Brothers.
Coen Brothers living at home. He's daydreaming. He's fucking the neighbor. That's an.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
You guys need to see some movies.
I don't think
man.
I saw Simple Man.
Stay out of these shitty movies. Go see the good stuff.
We was that the one they were about his father?
It's so good, dude. It's so good.
Yeah, that's the one I didn't see.
Oh, you got to see that, man. Because it's Coen Brothers are great because they'll make movies that aren't going to be mass appeal, you know, that just blow my mind. They're like Spike Lee early films.
Did you see The Man Who Wasn't There?
What was that one?
That was the black and white one with James Gandolfini.
It's the only one I haven't seen.
See, I knew I'd catch one.
I didn't see that. Also, I didn't see the one with Brad Pitt right after.
Oh, Burn After Reading.
You know why I didn't see
like
that
one. Yeah,
because No Country was so good. I was like,
that was almost like a palate cleanser. That movie after that.
Yeah,
I didn't. I wasn't in love
True
with that
Grit
movie.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, Big Lebowski, all the films. You know.
So, all right. So the other movie that is on demand, I checked, is The Protector 2, and this is the next Tony Jaa movie. And the trailer looks amazing. I mean, he martial arts fights a motorcycle in the trailer. It's unbelievable. It looks great, and it's Muay Thai, right?
Muay Thai,
yeah, Muay Thai. Yeah. So it's but
Tony
it's
Jaa, Raza's in
it.
RZA,
and. But it's got like everything you want in a crazy martial arts movie. It's got crazy stunts, car chases,
Tony Jaa,
and femme fatales who fight with their hair. You know, all this stuff.
They
it's
got
all
it. How
in
else
there.
are they gonna fight?
It's in there. It's all there. So
you guys see Raid 2?
Yes,
a little long, but lovely.
Yeah, felt the same way. All right,
that's our program, ladies and gentlemen.
So I hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as a giant, delicious chocolate-covered berry.
Well, we want to thank our guest, Dean Delray, for being on the program. Where can people find you, listen to your podcast, etc.?
Podcast on allthingscomedy.com or iTunes, Dean Delray. On Twitter, that's RAY, at Dean Delray. And I'll be at the American Comedy Co. this weekend, San Diego, with Jay Moore. Come down and see me.
Oh, cool.
And then Jay Moore on the 10th in Bakersfield at the Fox Theater.
That's a great club, San Diego.
God, it's so good, man.
I love that downtown area.
Gaslamp
Cool
is
vibe,
great.
yeah.
You know, every year I do a Comic-Con show there with the Death Squad guys. And it's just incredible to see that whole area taken over by like Luke Skywalker and It's a great area though, man. It feels like New Orleans, you know. I'm down there. Yeah, it's great. So thanks for having me. You guys are fantastic.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks. Instead of beads, it's nerds.
Instead of beads, it's nerds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's our show. I will be in Madison, Wisconsin, Saturday, May 3rd, and then downtown Zanies May 4th in Chicago, and then the Rosemont Zanies May 5th, and of course
We have May 7th.
May 7th, our Comedy Film Nerds summer movie preview.
Yeah, that's going to be a great show.
With Doug Benson.
Yep, at the Hollywood Improv. Buy your tickets now.
If you go to coupon, the tickets are $15. If you go to the Improv and use coupon code CFN, you get the tickets for $5.
Wow,
Come on, $5 to see us and Doug Benson?
Sherry's Berries and some show.
Come on now.
Yeah,
I'm helping you with the plug. Sherry's Berries!
Yeah, and I think some other comics, like I think Will
Could you
Anderson.
sing BERRIES.com?
Yeah. BERRIES.com. Sherry's Berries. That's Axl Rose doing it. Yeah.
That's what heavy metal's all about.
It really is.
Delicious berries.
Yes.
Yeah. Backstage berries and cocaine. Oh, man.
So come on out May 7th, you guys. Will Anderson said he might stop by. Might be some other special guests popping in to talk about movies.
And we have our guest confirmed, too.
Our guest confirmed, so he donated money to Kickstarter. He gets to be on the show, so he'll be on stage.
He's actually a VFX editor.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so we'll be talking to him especially.
Oh, but it's going to be a fun show, guys. It'll be it'll be 90 minutes of film nerdery. So,
and then they'll kick us out.
Get the fuck out. So thank you for being on the program. Thank you once again to our guest, Dean Delray. My name is Graham Elwood.
I'm Chris Mancini, and as always, remember,
Han shot first.